Hey everybody, it's Josie. Welcome back to Cedar Creek Homestead. I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. It was beautiful here, nice and crisp in the morning just to remind us that fall is here. And then during the day it warms up and it's nice to be outside and not even really need anything other than a light jacket or sweater. And we worked our cows this weekend. I should say the guys worked the cows. And went to church on Sunday and caught up on how the baby's doing. And here we are today. And I have a lot of work, a lot of projects that need to be done inside the house and outside. So I'm going to throw a meal in the crock pot today and let it do its thing while I'm busy tending to other projects and chores that need to be done on the homestead. And then this afternoon I'll be able to come in and have a nice warm meal. Now the kids are still at the hospital. Cheyenne and the baby, that is. Blade Ryan is working, and the doctors and nurses have told Cheyenne that it's looking pretty good and that little baby Howie will be able to come home before too long, and we're excited about that. We'll be glad to get him here and probably get to have him home for his first Thanksgiving. And Howie loved Thanksgiving. And he usually talked his granny into having a holdover dinner. And the first time he came up with that, he said, well, Granny, let's have a holdover. And she always called him Howard. What do you mean? And he said, well, I thought maybe you could fix a big dinner and we'd have a holdover dinner to hold us over till Thanksgiving. So that's what this little recipe here reminds me of. Of course, when he got his granny to cook, it wasn't just a little thing thrown into a crock pot. She fixed a big meal and they all gathered and ate it, and then she turned around and had Thanksgiving too. So all of the items that are in here today, there's 4 items, 6 if you count salt and pepper, and these things are all on sale right now at the grocery store. I was looking back over it. You might have a little bit of trouble with the chicken. Hopefully you can find chicken that's on sale. I happen to have my own home canned chicken, and that's what I'm going to use today. I'm going to turn the camera around so that you guys can see this, and hopefully this will be something that you can add to your recipe rotation and have something nice and comforting for your family when they get home in the evenings from school or work or whatever they're doing. So you're going to need a crock pot. I'm assuming that you could probably cook this in your oven as well, but I'm going to use the crock pot because I don't want to have to babysit the oven while I go and do other projects. So crock pot, and then your ingredients. Let me move my bowl out of the way here. You're going to need, now this recipe can easily be cut in half. You're going to need 2 boxes of dressing, of dressing stuffing mix. And I'm sorry, I call it dressing, but stuffing. This is chicken flavored. You can do turkey flavor. You can use whatever, and it does not have to be name brand. If you this time of year, this is on sale, but if you buy your store brand, I think at my store this week here locally, you can get it on sale. I want to say it's like 89 cents a box. So I always keep a couple of these on hand just for a quick meal idea, something that I can grab. So you're going to need 2 boxes of stuffing mix, sorry. You're going to need chicken. Now this recipe calls for raw 4 boneless, skinless chicken breast. Mine is already canned up in the canner, and I have the broth drained off because we're going to need it too. So I'm going to use 2 of these jars of chicken, and then I've got the broth drained here. And you're going to need the recipe calls for a 14-ounce can of chicken broth, and I don't buy canned broth. I use my home canned broth, and so I'm going to use 2 cups of broth, and then you're going to need 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. And it just simply goes together like this. Let me move the crock pot here, and I'm gonna, now if you were using your raw boneless chicken, you're just going to layer it in the bottom of the crock pot here. Now some recipes that I have seen, they leave the chicken whole. Other recipes go ahead and cut their chicken into cubes before they put it in there. And the ones that are leaving it whole are usually, you know, mixing it up after everything is nice and done. Then they, you know, incorporate it, and the chicken is falling apart because it'll be really, really tender. So the chicken is falling apart as they mix it together and when they serve it to their families. Mine is already done that way because it's canned chicken breast. And I'm just going to simply dump this in the jar. Being very careful, I don't usually like to use metal utensils to scrape stuff out of my jars. And I'm just going to dump this chicken right in there. And get it all broke up. And I've got a mix of light meat and dark meat. I hope you can see that, because I did whole chickens, and so I've got light meat and dark meat mixed together. You could probably do this recipe. I don't know why you couldn't use boneless thighs. Pardon me, boneless skinless thighs, because I find that they're cheaper than the breast, and I like thighs. You can save a lot of money by using thighs in the recipes like this versus the chicken breast. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this bowl over here, and I'm going to incorporate things together. Now, some of the recipes that you see will have you put the stuffing mix on top of the chicken, and then mix your broth and your chicken soup together and put on top of that. I'm going to mix my dressing, stuffing, with the broth and the chicken soup, so it all gets incorporated together and come out with I think, a better product. So let's see. Okay guys, sorry about that. I should have opened those boxes ahead of time so you didn't have to listen to all that noise. So I went off camera and opened the boxes, and I'm back. So this is simply those 2 boxes of the dressing mix. Now I'll put that off to the side. Again, I'm going to add 2 cups of chicken broth. Now the recipe calls for a 14-ounce can, but I'm going to go ahead and use all the liquid that was in my 2 cans of chicken, because that's all that I have left. And I'm just going to go ahead and add it to it. I'm going to put those 2 little chicken pieces in there, and I'm going to add these 2 cans of chicken soup. Okay, I've added the chicken soup in, the broth, and the dressing. Now it's going to be real soupy to begin with. After you get it all stirred together, it's going to be a little bit soupy, but it's going to work up really good, and it'll be delicious when it's all cooked this evening. And then you can decide what you want to serve with it. If you want to have vegetables, if you want to have a side of potatoes and maybe some gravy, or you want to have a salad and green beans, it's up to you. This recipe, pulling my home canned chicken off the shelf, which provided me the chicken and the broth, cost me, these little cans of cream and chicken soup were about, I think I got them for 60 cents a can. so that's $1.20. And then I got the dressing. If you got your store brand, mine was on sale for less than $1. So for $5 or less, you can put this recipe to work and stretch your budget. Now simply just pour this right over the top of the chicken, getting all that goodness out of there. And we'll just get it all in there, top that chicken, seal it all in. And we'll be good to go. Now I'm simply going to put the lid on this and turn it on to cook. Now if you put your raw chicken in there, whether you did breast or thighs, and you're going to be away from the house, then this can go on high for 7 hours. And when you come home from being wherever you've been, this will be ready for you to finish up the sides for your supper. If you are going to be home and you be close, you can put it on high for 4 hours and it'll be ready. And because my chicken is done, I'm going to put mine on high. I'll be around here where I can check on it every once in a while, make sure that it's okay. And it's not going to take, I don't believe, 4 hours for mine because my chicken is already done. And so this will be quick and easy, tasty this evening. I'm going to get this on to cooking and we'll be back when it's done. Okay, guys, it's been about 3 hours and this for me is ready. But now remember that my chicken was already cooked. And so here is what it looks like. You can see it's nice and bubbly. It has soaked up all of the broth. You know, I used just a little bit more and it took all of it. And so it's going to be just fine. And I'll get some of this out here and we'll give it a taste. Okay, here's what it looks like all dished up with that chicken and all of the dressing. And if I can keep from burning myself, we'll give it a taste. It's really good. Suggestion, I didn't put any salt and pepper in mine. And I probably wouldn't put any salt and pepper in it. You could probably do pepper depending on what your taste is. And I may put a little bit of pepper on mine. I wouldn't put any salt until after you taste it when it's done. Because the soup has salt in it. And the dressing, the stuffing mix has salt in it. So to me it's really tasting like the salt level is okay on that. Now depending on what broth you use, store-bought broth, you're getting even more salt. Now I don't put any salt in my broth when I home can it. I cook my chicken and I usually have my vegetables and garlic and whatever seasonings I use, but I don't use any salt in it. So mine could possibly even be saltier if I had used a store-bought broth. So just be cautious about that when you're going to salt while you're putting it together to cook it, that it might be too salty when it's done. If you're like me, I'm real sensitive to salt. I don't really like over salt. Now Howie, he would salt before he tasted, and Cheyenne does the same thing. But if you're sensitive to it or you're salt restricted, you may want to consider holding off on the salt until you taste it and make a determination there. Anyway guys, this is really tasty. It'll be really good with some carrots or green beans, maybe a salad or potatoes. I started to say peas, but y'all know I don't like peas. But you might like peas, and it would be good for you to go alongside this if you like them. I hope it helps, guys. Another economical recipe that's really quick to be able to get you on your way when you have lots of projects to do, or if you have to go to work and come home in the evening and supper's already ready. Guys, this is Josie. Until next time, keep looking well to the ways of your household. I love y'all, I really do. We're gone.